It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Macy Parmer, who is a media runner for the Houston Texans. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm in Houston, so it's of course the day that it is snowing outside, which never happens. So we're all lost power, but thankfully I found a place that has power, so pretty good.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about, of course, how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
Well, I grew up in a really small town in Texas, and obviously everyone knows Texas is like a big football state. So I grew up with it. My dad is all Texan, so I grew up with like the love of football from him, and then my mom's from New England, so I got my love of baseball from her. So like growing up, I was like meant to like be into sports, and so I just didn't realize. It definitely come from brought it into my adulthood.
Can you talk about, of course, your experience so far as the media runner?
This is my first season, so because of COVID, a lot of things were different. I didn't get to do a lot of things that the job description provided originally, but it's been really cool. They welcomed me super fast. I felt comfortable. I got to be in the press box and watch the game from upstairs, and I get to be a part of the actual game day. And I the one that the media comes to when they need their vest to get on the field to take pictures, or they need help in the press box somehow, or just sitting in the audience, literally sitting with the fans, just trying to make sure everything goes smoothly. And then I get to just be in the press conferences after. So it's pretty cool.
Can you talk about, of course, what a media production intern does?
I interned at a really small station in Houston, Cube 57, and I honestly went into it very blindly. I at the time wanted to really on screen. It's really cool. I got to be the one that edited some whenever the show is airing that night, and I have to do a little preview of what's to come, or when the rodeo is coming out and they're trying to like give out tickets. I got to just be a part of having my stuff seen on screen, and it was really cool and really different, not what I was expecting.
What was it like working with the local university on the athletic program?
I loved it. I came into University of Houston and I was like, I'm not sure how I'm going to start this whole sports journey, so I'll figure it out. And I saw a flyer to be an intern, so I was like, oh, that's great. And so I started immediately. I emailed them, be like, I really want to be a part of this. And so getting to be a part of like the athletics department while being a student there was a lot different experience than other students will have just being a fan. And I liked feeling like I was part of the team and got to help out with what game days are actually like.
Can you talk about, of course, the roles and responsibility as a media runner?
Well, I kind of, like I said, hopefully the season will be different. Hopefully I'll get a lot more responsibilities and duties, but because of COVID, obviously it limited a lot. But the game day, really, it was just showing up like 4 or 5 hours early to the game. So just being able to check in all the media, make sure they get everything they need, and help with the press conferences afterwards. So I get to be a part of hearing the home in a way, visiting, coaches and players and hearing what they felt about the game. But really my job is just to help the communication staff for whatever they need and just show up and be dependable.
Can you talk about, of course, what were some of your favorite interviews that you've done for Houston?
Well, I guess it's kind of bittersweet now since JJ Watt left. But my last game, being like the last game of the season, JJ Watt came in and they're asking about the game, and he was really expressing his love for Houston. So it was really cool seeing like my favorite player. He's always been my favorite player just because it's JJ Watt. So of course everyone loves him. And he was really expressing how much he loved Houston And it was now looking back, it's a really bittersweet moment because he's gone. And so to hear him say how much he loved it here, and he doesn't know what the future was at the time, of course, he didn't know what the future was going to bring. So definitely JJ Watt in the last game.
Who are some of your other favorite interviews that you've done?
The Bengals coach, what is his name? Cincinnati Bengals coach. I can't think of his name right now, but I don't know much about the Bengals just because I've always been like a sort of fan, but not really. They weren't never my hometown team or anyone that I really enjoyed watching on the team. But he really has always stood out to me. He was so nice and he was so welcoming, and he made sure that every reporter got a chance to get their questions in. And he was really a lot different from other ones. He was really grateful for being there. It was different. It just seemed like he was really grateful to being able to be a coach. And like, it's just not something you really see. People just come in and they answer the questions and they get out. But he really enjoyed being and listening to everyone and making jokes. So it was, I think, definitely him.
Can you talk about, of course, what it's like during the press conference and what happens?
Well, for visiting teams, they're really like, they come in, all their players come in, they answer their questions. They're really respectful for everyone. And then they kind of just get out. Houston, it's a little different. It takes a little bit longer. They have to do their own little things since they're all home. So they don't have to really rush to get onto the plane to leave to go home. But I really enjoy it just because it gives me a better glimpse inside the game and what the actual players' thoughts were on the game instead of just like reading it on an article and you can't really, it's not personable. So it's really cool being able to just hear them directly. Like Aaron Rodgers, I that was so cool just being able to be on a Zoom call with him. It was insane. And so every single time, and like Cam Newton, we played the Patriots, and just being able to be on a Zoom call with these people that I obviously they're huge names. So it was so cool to like have my name literally on the list of people that are able to talk to them. So it's a really different thing, but it was so cool. It was so cool.
That's so amazing. Can you talk about, of course, your time with ESPN during the college game day?
That was probably my favorite college experience. Actually, probably one of my favorite memories in my life. I got to personally, like, Jay Williams is one of the main commentators, and he was so nice to me. He would pull me aside and he would bring me to go different places with him if he needed help, and he would like coach me on what I'm supposed to do in life and give me advice. And he's like, he taught me to like, he asked me what my goals were, and my goals were just like pretty reasonable, but he'd always be like, never make that your goal. You need to make your goal, keep getting better and keep it like bigger and bigger. Don't just settle. You have to just keep going. And so I actually got to be able to like develop a connection with him. And then randomly during it, all the fans, the students there were shooting halftime, like the half court shots. And he pulled me out of the stance and he was like, come on. And so I go out there and I'm so nervous. And he was like, okay, go ahead. And I failed so miserably. So bad experience. And I just felt unique compared to everybody else at the school since nobody else gets the opportunity. So it was amazing. It was awesome.
That's so cool. What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before starting?
Definitely how much goes into the game. Like you have to email all these reporters and everyone gets their credentials, get them parking passes, get their names on the list, make sure that the halftime show is ready to go, make sure that the little media timeouts that we have, there's always something going. It's insane thinking of how much work's actually put into it instead of just watching a game and just enjoying it. There's so much that goes behind it. And I don't know why my brain just didn't think like it was that difficult, but there's so much that we have to do to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
Can you talk about, of course, the process for like somebody like me who's a sports podcast? If I wanted to, let's say, go to a Houston, Texas game as media, what would the process be like for me to apply for credentials?
There is a specific website that I know that you can go on to actually apply. Sometimes they vary. Sometimes you can apply for a season long one, or you can just for an individual game. But they have, I'm not sure the actual like where you'd find the website, but it's not that difficult. You have to obviously be, you know, not just a random fan that just wants to like be a part of the game. You having an actual background of this is what you want to do would make more sense for you than just like if I had nothing to do with sports and just randomly came up and be like, I want to be, I want to take some pictures and try to be in the press conference. So it's really not as difficult as people think it is. Obviously you need to have some, credibility behind you, but it's not that difficult. And I think that's what people think, is that it's a lot more difficult to get into it, but it's not. Yeah.
So for example, let's say like me, who's a sports photographer also, and I shot college games, but I've never shot professional games. Would more of my college games work if I wanted to, like, let's say, get media passes to cover the Houston, Texas?
I actually am not too sure about that. I don't know how it goes like with photography. I don't have that great of a relationship with any photographers there, so I don't really know how they get into that. I see a lot of people from like different newspapers around town that get I see their names on the credentials and I'm like, oh, okay, random person, but like they can they have enough credibility that they can do that. So I really don't think that it really matters as much. I know obviously you having the college games of like pictures of it would definitely help you out, but I don't think that it would be as hard as you would think it would be.
What advice would you give upcoming future media runners looking to get into the industry?
It is difficult. It is very difficult. You have to have a lot of connections and you need to network a lot and you need to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone to approach these people. I know that I was so nervous to even talk to Jay Williams, and thankfully I did, because now I actually have a relationship with him, and you have to hear a lot of no's, or not even any no's. There's literally no one emailing you back or anything like that. And I graduated last May, and that's in the middle of COVID. So me trying to find a job in sports when everything shut down made it a little bit more difficult for me. But I definitely say just, you cannot give up, because I was in that moment of, I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. Nothing's happening for me. But I had my friends telling me, like, you just keep applying. Don't give up. You got to keep doing it. And thankfully the Texans gave me a chance, and it's definitely a hard industry, but I don't think that you should give up at all, because I mean, it'll pay off. So
that's wonderful. What is some of your future plans with the Houston Texans?
I hope to become an actual full-time worker, where I'm going in Monday through Friday, whatever the times are, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever it is, and work my way up. I'd like to become the VP of communications for, honestly, if, I'm going to be grateful for any team. Obviously, I want it to be the Texans. This is my hometown. So of course it'd be awesome to just stay here, but definitely to just keep rising up on the communications staff and see how far I can go.
That's wonderful. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Social media. Okay. Gotta look up my name. For some reason, I don't know that. So my social media on Instagram, it's Macy, Macy, Leanne, Leannee. So, yeah. And then LinkedIn, just Macy Parmer, and Twitter. Basically my Twitter just looks like a sports page, and it's just Macy Leanne 123. So
thank you again, Macy, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as a media runner.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Macy, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.